Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Kay Cote, and I am your podcast for the show today. And today's guest is Louise Adkins. She is the managing director and owner of Hollage Limited. We're going to dive into learning about her business, her journey to business ownership, as well as what she's learned along the way, such as some best practices and maybe some challenges that she's faced. We're going to give you that insider's look to what it's like to really own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this. Well, hello, Louise. It is so nice to see you here today. Welcome.
Hello, Kay. Lovely to meet you.
You as well. And so let's talk about you and your business. Give us a brief about yourself and a little bit about the business.
So I am Louise Adkins, owner and managing director of Share Haulage. We are a road haulage company based in the UK. We travel all up and down mainland UK, delivering materials to our customers.
That is incredible. Well, I'm so excited to dive in a little deeper. So, who would you say, off the bat, who is your ideal customer if you're doing these like transportation and logistics? Who are some of your customers?
The majority of our customers come from the construction industry. So we deliver everything from construction materials to plant and hire. So the diggers and things that you see that look like that.
Okay, wonderful. And kind of generally speaking, looking at the ownership of your business, you're the sole owner, and do you have what does your team look like? Are you a growing team? Do you have a board of directors? What does that look like?
We are a growing team. Although we've been in business for 24 years, we've changed the way we operate and we are expanding at a great rate at the moment. So we are taking on more and more staff. Most of our staff are drivers, although I am backed up by an excellent operations manager who fixes everything that goes wrong. So I'm very lucky in that respect.
Yes. Well, tell me more about your manager and like some of the roles that they play in the business.
Ollie is my operations manager, and he fills every single gap that needs to be filled. He is a man with many hats, and he is an absolute godsend. He's a pleasure to have at work. Anything that needs doing, he just turns his hand to it and it's done. I don't ever have to worry, which is quite the relief.
That is true, especially in business, like to have a partner or have someone in your team that is just that you just know it's going to get done. And so how did you and Ollie meet and how did you ultimately bring him into the business?
Very strangely, Ollie and I met over 20 years ago. As a young girl, wanted a job in a bar in town, in our local town, and he was the bar manager. And I went for an interview, and he gave me the job, and we became friends over the few years that we worked together then. And then later on in life, we bumped into each other, and he'd got some qualifications in the industry that I was then in, and then it all just spiraled from there.
That's incredible. Well, I love stories like that, especially when it's someone like that is so crucial to the work you do now. And so how did you get started in this business? You were back then, you were a bartender. How did you go from bartender to business owner?
Well, I left school at 16 with GCSEs, which is just your high school education. And I went straight out to work. I worked in an apprenticeship selling nuts and bolts for a fastener company. I didn't particularly like sales because it wasn't really for me. And I randomly got offered a job in a logistics company, quite a large one in the UK. And I was only 17 at the time. And I had to wait until my 18th birthday to join the company. And I worked there for about 12 to 18 months, and I did various jobs around the office. And I had a bit of a knack for transport. And then a friend of mine, a close family friend, was running a very small courier operation, so small vans. And he said, "Do you think we could make this expand?" And I said, "Well, I don't see why not." And at 19, I thought, "Okay, let's give it a go." And I just jumped in, and I've been doing it ever since.
That is incredible. Like it's something to, did you ever think logistics before that? Like prior, did you ever have any like
No, and I think
desire?
what is very strange in the UK is every single person that works in logistics or transport will always tell you they didn't find the job found them.
That is true. Well, that's incredible to hear too. And so you got the job in logistics and then you started with like building your own thing. And what happened next? What happened in between like those years of what was a challenge you faced? I would say, like, more specifically, what's a challenge you faced in those years that you overcame and grew from?
Well, over 20 years ago, you didn't really have to have any major qualifications to work in this industry. And as it has become more safety conscious, and there's been more rules put in place, there's a lot of learning that we have all had to do, all of the team, and the team that we had originally that have since, gone on to other things or retired. So we all had to learn a lot in a very, very short space of time. And we had to be very reactive to new laws, new legislations. Whereas now we like to be proactive, but at the time it was a lot of things came in at once. So it was a major challenge to keep ourselves afloat, make sure we were compliant, and try and grow and be reactive to our customers' needs because they change quite frequently. So we have to be on our toes all the time.
Mhm. Oh, definitely. It sounds like, there's a lot of moving parts with the business, and looking at what are some of the things you're doing now, like say you hire a new team member or, work with somebody new or just have new laws or regulations that you need to learn. What are some of the strategies you have in place to help you guys set up for success with that?
So we are now members of quite a few governing bodies. So we get information on new things that are coming up, 6, 9, 12 months in advance. So we've got plenty of time to prepare. We've developed a huge network of probably nearly now 800 partners that we work with. So we feed off them, they feed from us. We all work together as one giant team, and you can pull other people's resources. So if you don't particularly know that area too well, or you need some help or some support, there is always somebody there in our network that we can call on, which I think is the biggest learning experience that I've had in this industry. It's you can't do it all on your own.
That is so true. Like you're the power of a good team and a good network. And that is true. Cause then you can have that. You can pull from wherever you need and help each other grow. So that's incredible. What is something like, where you're putting yourself out there to say your customers, how are you best marketing what you do? Are you like a word of mouth thing or do you do a lot on social media? What are kind of your trusted ways of marketing?
We have previously just been word of mouth, but over the last 2 years since I bought the company myself, we have been using social media tools. LinkedIn, particularly, has brought us about 40% more business in the last 12 months, which we weren't really prepared for, but we've reacted well and we've taken it all on. And hopefully, or I hear the customers are always happy, but hopefully they continue to remain happy. We have just employed a marketing company who are developing a new strategy for us. I actually had a meeting with them yesterday to hopefully grow the business even more. So I'm excited to get to delve into that.
That's incredible. Well, as you grow, you may face those growing pains as a lot of businesses do, especially when scaling. What are you currently doing to help mitigate some of those growing pains or be prepared for such growth?
Well, the main problem that the haulage industry will suffer during a growth period is a cash flow
Mhm.
problem because most things in transportation are front end loaded. And by that, I mean you have to pay for your fuel every 2 weeks. You have to pay your drivers usually weekly. Some companies can get away with fortnightly or monthly. And your customers don't pay for 60 to 90 days.
Mhm.
So the majority of problems come from a cash flow basis. So it's about getting trusted lenders, trusted partners, having loans to help you through the growth process, and making sure that you're fulfilling your customers' needs, but also not leaving yourself short in the meantime.
Oh, definitely. I could see that being, the pain points of that and mitigating that is super important. So with that, what are some of the ways that you prepare your team for growth?
Well, we try to make sure that everybody is comfortable in their job role. We never push anybody to do anything they're not comfortable with. We train our drivers every month. They do training courses to keep themselves current, keep up on top of the legislation, and anything new. We do train a lot of them on so that we know we've got a lot of them to rely on. So if
Mm.
somebody's not comfortable or they're not quite up to speed or they don't feel like they're, fully there, we know we've got other people to rely on. It's all about training and communication, really.
100% communication is key. And, as a leader in the company, what would you say your leadership style is?
I would say, I'm not sure if they would agree, but I'd say I'm firm but fair. I don't take any nonsense, but I do care about my staff, and I extend the same care to my customers. Some of my customers I've had for 20 years, some of my staff I've had for nearly 20 years. And I know about their families, I know what their pets are called, I know the challenges that they're facing in their personal life. And I think that breeds a really, really nice team. We're very tight, we're like a family. And if one of us is struggling with anything, the rest of us are always there to pick them up. And that includes me, which I find really refreshing, that even though I'm the owner, they still care about me as much as I care about them, which I think is really important to foster that sort of environment.
Definitely, definitely. I agree with you there. Kind of looking at some goals of the company for the next couple of years, as your team is growing, what are some of the big things you want to take on and accomplish in the next 3 to 5 years?
We would like to double our vehicle fleet, which is quite a task. But if you don't set your goals high, then there's no point setting them, I don't think. So yes, so we'd like to double our fleet size, double our driver's staff, double our admin staff, and just hopefully continue to be successful and continue to create the sort of service that we already deliver. Is that I don't want to grow and the service level to drop, because that's not what I set out to do when I first started. I always
Mhm.
want the customer to be really happy, and I want them to say to other people, "This is our trusted haulage partner, and we don't use anybody else because they are the best."
Definitely. Now, as you're growing, as you're wanting to like double, what are some of the biggest obstacles that you're going to face with that growth?
Um, Mainly, it will be cash flow and lenders, because the market in the UK at the moment is very reluctant to lend any money with the state of the economy. So it's going to be a case of trying to grow quickly, but also slowly enough so that we can cope with the growth and we're not dependent upon too much lending.
Definitely. Well, this has been an incredible conversation. I absolutely have loved just hearing your story, hearing about your drive, determination, and how you care for your team. I think that's incredible. And now I'd like to dive into our rapid fire questionnaire, which is 4 questions where you answer very top of mind, first thing that comes to mind. So, are you ready for some rapid fire?
Yes, I am.
Wonderful. The first question is, what is a key to success for you?
I would say resilience,
Hmm.
because nothing ever happens overnight.
This is true. And number 2 is, what is a piece of advice you would give to other business owners?
Don't be afraid to fail, because failure is not actually a failure. It's just a lesson that you learn.
Love that one. I'm going to write that down. Number 3, what is the book, maybe a piece of content, a podcast, anything that you've taken in most recently?
I have recently joined a networking organization which is worldwide, the BNI.
Yeah.
And they offer a huge learning platform with lots and lots and lots of podcasts. And at the moment, I'm listening to lots of them, because I think it's really important for continuous improvement to make sure that you're always learning new things and always taking on other people's views and seeing if you can make that work for you.
Definitely. And the fourth question, final question is, if you could wave a magic wand and rapidly improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Oh, this is a difficult one. I would probably like to improve the road infrastructure in the UK. It's very old hat, very antiquated. There are a lot of issues on the roads, a lot of toll roads, and there's always a lot of things that are broken, which creates a lot of delays and a lot of frustration. So I probably want to magic it all better.
That would be amazing. Like wave the wand and the roses are fresh.
Yes.
Well, thank you for answering the rapid fire questions. Before we get to our final question, how can people connect with you and your business?
So we have a website that is currently under construction, but it will be live soon, sharehaulage.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Louise Adkins. We have a company page on LinkedIn, Share Haulage Limited, and we also have a Facebook page, Share Haulage.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Louise, for our final question today. What is most inspiring to you today?
I think I'd have to say other women. I work in a very male-oriented industry, and other women really inspire me. Not necessarily in my industry, but I love how women are breaking out, doing their own thing, just striving to be better all the time, and not being pigeonholed into anything. I just find other women's stories incredible.
Thank you for sharing that, and I really share that as well with that sentiment. So I really appreciate this conversation, and to all of our listeners, listen to this a couple times through. Louise has so many great golden nuggets, sharing about her journey. So be sure to check that out once or twice through, and be sure to like and subscribe. So thank you so much, Louise. It's been a joy to talk to you today.
Thank you ever so much for having me.